Well, maybe it has something to do with the report from today's New York Post that shows that he signed a 7-year, $105 million contract with the network. Here with reaction, author. 2 weeks from now, this book is coming out. You're seeing it for the first time. Adios, America, the left's plan to turn our country into a third world hellhole. It will be out June the 1st. I have the first copy. Did you autograph it for me?
Yes, I did. You dictated what you wanted me to say.
I did a little bit. That's true. All right, let's go to Stephanopoulos.
Yes.
You see all this. I mean, it's obvious that he always was a liberal Clinton hack and remains one.
Yes, this is just the icing on the cake. I was looking through that birth control question he sprang on.
Mitt Romney, your buddy.
I mean, yeah, well, all the Republicans, and it was unbelievable. I started laughing. I posted it on my webpage, by the way. You should go look at it because it goes on and on and on. And it's a ridiculous issue. No one is thank heaven Romney was the first one to get it because he laughed at Stephanopoulos and said, George, is anyone trying to ban contraception? No, the way all of the media is like this, they come in and out of Democratic politics, and George Stephanopoulos in particular was the one passing out affidavits denying that Clinton had had an affair with Jennifer Flowers. Could we get Stephanopoulos on the record to tell us whether he knew that Clinton had raped Juanita Broderick? I mean, he was working for it. Did he ever ask? Surely he was curious about it. Can we get those answers? But the main point here is, as I learned from all of my book tours, you can't control what other people do, but you can control what you do. And it's time for the RNC to say, none of these people get to interview our candidates. It doesn't have to be you and me, which is the equivalent of Stephanopoulos, I might add. How about, Lincoln and Douglas didn't have a moderator. Have somebody keeping time, let the Republicans ask one another questions, because the sole purpose of these debates is for the media, working for the Democratic Party, to dirty up Republicans by implanting in the public the idea that somebody wants to ban contraception. If you and I could moderate a Democrat debate, I would spend 15 minutes asking Democrats to describe exactly what procedures they think it's okay to be done on a baby right before it's born. In addition to jamming scissors up the baby's neck,
and suctioning out the brains.
Senator Clinton, what else would you allow? And where would you draw the line? Can we have a half an hour on that? Because you look at all these debates, what do Republicans ask about? They're never asked about energy policy. They're never asked about public sector union pensions that are bankrupting all these states. They're never asked about immigration. No, we get 18 questions on global warming, contraception, gay marriage. That's not what voters want to know about. It's what the media does to dirty up Republicans, and I'm sick of Republicans thinking, oh, Reince nice to the media.
Stephanopoulos claims he recused himself. Reince Priebus said on this program he was never going to do a debate, and he said exactly what you're saying, no more.
But
that these people with the jet, look what Candy Crowley did in the last presidential cycle.
No, I say no mainstream media debates, none. Let the candidates ask their own questions, or let they can submit some, and the RNC will look through them, and they're flipping through and see 17 questions on global warming. Voters don't want to know about it. And then, by the way, if you watch the MSNBC coverage for this, then MSNBC will get testy that the Republican primary voters in the audience are always laughing and booing the moderators.
I know, it's funny.
And I'd add one other point on this. Even Newt Gingrich, who, in my opinion, was often using his attacks on the media in a somewhat self-serving way. But it shows you how much the Republican primary audience, or Republicans, voters, are dying for this. People hate the media. Use that to your advantage, Republicans.
I agree with you. All right, this is 2 weeks from tonight. You're going to be here.
Yes, I am.
Your brand new book, and I got the first copy of the...
It's a blockbuster.
Okay. But when you say, I just want one little question answered.
Okay, but I'm not talking about it yet.
I know. All right. Adios, America. Do you think America's in jeopardy of falling?
Yes.
Failing?
Yes.
A great republic, once a great republic.
Yes, but for Teddy Kennedy's 1965 Immigration Act, Barack Hussein Obama never could have been elected president in this country. We'll start with that, and I'll let you mull that for 2 weeks until I come back.
Here. And do you know what pages are going to be viewed most controversial by the left-wing media?
You know I never do, but...
I pick it out almost every time.
You've never picked it out.
I have picked it out.
You have never picked it out.
I'm going to talk about your boyfriend. You keep this up.
But I will say about 3 books back, even though I say liberals can never learn, they have learned. Stop inviting her on our programs to try to destroy her. Let's just pretend she doesn't exist. And the only satisfaction I have in this is it's got to be driving them crazy, especially with this book.
All right. And Coulter, 2 weeks from tonight, Adios, America, the left's plan to turn our country into a third world hellhole. 2 weeks from tonight, she'll debut that book right here. Chief addressed the country and announced that he's willing to enter into a nuclear agreement with the rogue regime in Tehran. That's right, President Obama is now openly negotiating with terrorists. Take a look.
I spoke personally with President Rouhani of Iran earlier this fall. Secretary Kerry has met multiple times with Iran's foreign minister. And we have pursued intensive diplomacy, bilaterally with the Iranians and together with our P5+1 partners, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Russia, and China, as well as the European Union. Today, that diplomacy opened up a new path toward a world that is more secure, a future in which we can verify that Iran's nuclear program is peaceful and that it cannot build a nuclear weapon. While today's announcement is just a first step, it achieves a great deal.
All right, is it me, or do the president's comments sound eerily similar to what Neville Chamberlain said back in 1938?
Hitler. And here is the paper which bears his name upon it as well as mine.
Now, sadly, the world knows all too well that never happened. So were President Obama's naive remarks the modern-day equivalent to Chamberlain's Peace in Our Time? Here with reaction, the author of the best-selling book, Never Trust a Liberal Over Three, and Coulter. Here's my take on this. I look at Iran this way. As a state sponsor of terror, they have been fighting, funding proxy wars all around the region and the world. They are responsible for the death of American soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the #1 supporter of this dictatorial regime in Syria.
Right.
So why would the president trust them? What is it in him that trusts them?
He's a liberal. You don't have to go back as far to Neville Chamberlain. You can go to Clinton's Peace in Our Time deal with the North Koreans, which was hailed on the cover of the New York Times as a triumph of diplomacy. We give them nuclear material, $5 billion in aid, and they give us a promise not to build nukes. So they take all that and they go feverishly to work building nukes. You can go back to, that's why I had to write this book, and I have a column on it back when in 2007, Bush had won the war in Iraq, elections had been held, and suddenly one of our intelligence agencies comes out with a report saying that they have concluded that Iran gave up its nuclear building ambitions back in 2003. Suddenly the entire left, Bill Press, Joe Klein, Keith Olbermann, explode in anger at George Bush for slandering the good name of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. And here he had given up his nuclear ambitions. Then, 3 years later, 2010, Ahmadinejad announces, I'm nuclear.
But the supreme leader, I just said this to Louis Gohmert in the last segment, he's actually referred to Israel as the rabid dog of the region, and the Zionist regime is doomed to destruction. Do you know as part of this deal, we don't have access to every facility in the entire country, only where they have agreed to.
This is the history of liberalism, covered more fully in my book, Treason, Liberal Treachery from the Cold War to the War on Terrorism. Democratic presidents go around creating crises in the world, and then Republican presidents have to deal with it. If you have no politics, but you just want America to be safer in the world, you have to vote Republican. And in addition to the Neville Chamberlain clip, I wish tomorrow night you'd play the clip from Keith Olbermann's show from December 2007, where he is railing at George Bush for thinking that Ahmadinejad was trying to acquire nukes. And poor little innocent as a lamb Iran, even at the time, I mean, these nuclear watch groups here in the U.S. were saying, what are they talking about? And Bush and Cheney and everyone else who knows anything about American intelligence agencies knows that we have the worst intelligence gathering in the universe, thanks to the post-Watergate Congress. Again, don't elect Democrats, America, because they just dismantled our intelligence agencies. Now the CIA is a secret society of newspaper readers that will occasionally come to action in order to leak information to embarrass an American president. Here, the National Intelligence Estimate in 2007 leaked this report that turned out to be horribly, horribly wrong. Iran was trying to develop nukes, but the entire left just jumped on this phony report saying, oh, and Bush and Cheney, the drums of war against Iran, it would have been a terrible mistake. No, apparently it wouldn't have been a terrible mistake.
And we're giving them access to $7 billion in frozen funds. We're giving them spare parts for their Boeing transports. and they're bragging and boasting the U.S. gave us the right for nuclear enrichment.
No, not only that. As with Obamacare, I might add, you have these Democrats, these Johnny-come-latelys trying to protect their own reputations, like Chuck Schumer saying...
He knew this was coming.
But also he says, we'll come back. Congress will come back and we'll...
Can't do anything.
There's nothing they can do. Once those sanctions... It's not just sanctions from us.
Once
it's sanctions from
over.
our allies who want to be doing business with Iran. And by the way, why do they need to do business with Iran? Because we're not producing any oil.
So the Iranians now will continue. If you look at the way their nuclear sites are spread around the country, they're deep in the ground. This is sophisticated. This has been an effort. They've anticipated some military action. I think, what do you do if you're Israel now? I think you have no choice but attack.
Saudi Arabia? I mean, the
Both
entire
of them.
world.
They're aligning together, apparently.
Right. Whereas we have Obama aligning with Iran.
With Iran. Yeah.
Against the rest of the world. No, that's right. I mean, you can't just lift the sanctions that easily. What's Saudi Arabia going to do? This is why you can't elect Democrats president. They create crises. Republicans are going to have to deal with it.
Who are you going to support in 2016? Quick.
I don't know.
Who are you looking at?
And as long as it's a governor or a senator, I want to throw them in the debates and see who does the best. And I think we have about 8 of them.
I think we got about 7 or 8.
We can throw them in, but no more congressmen, no more inspirational leaders. I love Ben Carson too, but no more inspiration. It's got to be a governor or a senator.
All right. Ann Coulter, good to see you. Thank you.